Okay. So when none of the sides are congruent, we call that scalene. When two of the sides are congruent, we call that isosceles. When three of the sides are congruent, we call that equilateral. What about the angles? What do I look at to classify by angles? I look at one angle in particular. Nope. What if it doesn't have a right angle? I look at the biggest angle. The biggest angle. What if the biggest angle is less than 90? What do we call that? Acute. What if the biggest angle is 90? Right. What if the biggest angle is more than 90? Obtuse. What is the other option? There's one more. Equiangular. What happens in an equiangular triangle? All the angles are equal. Perfect. So we'll start with our first problem. By its sides, are any of the sides marked congruent? No, so we call that scalene. And then what is the largest angle? 90, which makes it right. So scalene right, or you could say right scalene, same thing. Number 2, how many sides are congruent? 2 of them, which makes it isosceles. And then the largest angle looks to be like these two bottom angles. Does it look less than 90, equal to 90, or more than 90? Less than, which makes it acute. So isosceles, acute triangle. Perfect. Number 3, it says find the value of x. It looks like we have 3 angles inside of a triangle. What do we know about the 3 angles inside of a triangle? They add up to 180, so let's figure out how many degrees we already have with this 63 and 85. What is 63 plus 85? 148. And then what do I do with that 148 degrees? Subtract it from 180. So what is 180 minus 148? 32. Number 4, it looks to be the same thing. We have a 61 degree angle. What does this box mean? 90. So if we have 61 degrees and 90 degrees already, what is 61 plus 90? 151. So to find out what remains, we subtract from 180. What is 180 minus 151? 29. All right, this next section, still solving for x. In this problem, on the left, do we know all of the angles inside of the triangle? No, we don't. Why does this picture look different than any of the others? We have an outside angle. So we learned a property about this, that the 2 inside angles, what did we do with the 2 inside angles? Add them together, and they equal the outside angle. So that's what we're going to do here. 2x plus 6 plus 36. And it equals the outside angle of 4x minus 18. From here we combine like terms. What is 6 plus 36? 42. So we have 2x plus 42 equals 4x minus 18. Move the smaller x. So subtract 2x. 42 equals 2x minus 18. What do I do next? Add that 18. What is 42 plus 18? 60. I ran out of room, but divide by 2. So what does x equal? 30. So I believe here it asks for x, right? Okay, so on your quiz or your test, it might say plug it back in. It might say find the measure of the outer angle or something to that extent. So make sure you just read the directions. This next problem, does it have any exterior angles? No, just interior. What do we know about the inside angles of a triangle? Yep, they still add up to 180. So we're going to take 2x plus 3x plus 5 plus 90, and they equal 180. So we got 2x plus 3x, which makes 5x. And then 5 and 90, which makes 95. Subtract 95. 5x equals 85. Divide by 5, and x equals 17. So again, here it just asks for x, but on your quiz, I know for sure it asks you to plug it back in. So make sure you're ready for that. This last one on this page, it says, in a right triangle, the measure of one angle is twice the sum of the measure of the other angle and 30. Find the measure of each acute angle in the right triangle. So whenever you see a problem like this, what should you start with? A right triangle. Let's draw a picture. So a right triangle, sorry if I'm in your way. What did I tell you one of the angles will always be, other than 90? So it'll be x. The other angle is described in the directions. It says the measure of one angle is twice. So whenever you're doing twice, is that 2 plus, 2 minus, 2 times? 2 times something. It's 2 times the sum. So whenever you're doing 2 times the sum, what action are you doing? Addition. We are going to have parentheses because you want to add first and then double it second. So 2 times parentheses. The measure of the other angle. What did we call the other angle? We called it x. And then 30. So 2 times x plus 30. After this, we now have 3 angles in a triangle. We can add them up, and they will equal 180 degrees. So we got 2 times x plus 30 plus x. What's my third angle? 90. Good. And it equals 180. Distribute. We got 2x. 2 times 30 is 60. We'll continue to combine like terms. We have 2x plus x, which makes 3x. 60 plus 90, which is 150. What's my next step? Subtract that 150. I'm going to run out of room. Bless you. So 3x equals 30. So that means x equals 10. So we know one of our angles is 10. How do we find the measure of the other acute angle? Plug it in. So we'll have 2 times 10 plus 30. Do I distribute or do I add first? I add. 10 plus 30 is 40. 2 times 40 is 80. So a way to check yourself is to add them all up. What's 90 plus 10? 100. And then plus 80 is 180. So we did good. So I want you to notice the difference in the wording. So I'm going to show you. This said twice the sum. If it said twice the other angle or something to that effect, twice still means 2 times, right? What do we always name the other angle? X. So if it said twice the other angle, it would look like 2x. If it says twice the sum, that's when you have those parentheses and that plus sign. So you really need to read what comes directly after the twice or the 3 times, the 4 times. Whatever the next words are is going to tell you what to put next. Okay? You can go ahead and flip. This one says identify all pairs of congruent corresponding parts. So right where this is, I want you to write. What you're going to do is list all congruent angles and congruent sides. So the first part is asking you to list all congruent angles and all congruent sides. So I told you the key to a problem like this is not necessarily the picture. It's just to read this statement. It's a lot easier. It goes a lot quicker if you just look at the statement and move on. Like it tells me angle A is going to be congruent to what angle on the other figure? Angle E. They're both the first letter. Good. Keep going with that pattern. Angle B will be congruent to F. So angle F. Angle C is congruent to angle G. Angle D is congruent to angle H. So those are all of the angles. The reason I know how many angles are there in each figure? How many angles are there in this first figure? 4. So we have 4 statements because there are 4 angles. The same thing with sides. I still look at this statement only. One of my classes decided not to. It's really up to you, personal preference. But let's go ahead and pick a side to start with. AB. So again, I look at the statement and I say AB is the first 2 letters. So we look at the first 2 letters of the second statement. What is AB congruent to? Yeah. Pick another one. BC. You could say CD, sorry. But we're going to do BC for now. BC is congruent to FG. Now we'll go ahead and do CD. CD is congruent to GH. And we have one more that we have not named. Sure, DA. So if I said DA in the first figure, I would have to say HE in the second figure. So we did the first part. The second says, then write another congruent statement. So this is a congruent statement. It says this figure is congruent to this figure. So we make a new one. What do we want to name the first figure? Name it anything you want other than A, B, C, D. DC what? BA, sure. So if I said DCBA for the first figure, what would I rename the second figure? HGFE. You're actually the 4th class in a row to do this. It's very popular. All right, we got one more to do together, and it's finding the values of x and y. So let's find the variable x first, which is right here, 2x minus 20. Is this a side or an angle? It's an angle. It's at angle y. So what is angle y congruent to in the second figure? Angle S. And the measure of angle S is 30, so that means the measure of angle y is equal to 30 as well. So we'll set up that equation. 2x minus 20 equals 30. Are we all okay with this? What do we do next? Add 20. 2x equals 50, so x equals 25. We'll do something similar with y. Is y an angle or a side? It's a side, because it's got that centimeters. So it's on side ST. What is ST congruent to in the other figure? YZ. It looks like there's no measurement at YZ, but they do have this tick mark, which means what to us? It's congruent. So it's congruent to the other segment, which is 15. So what's the measure of YZ? 15, which means ST is also equal to 15. So we'll say 3y plus 9 equals 15. What is 15 minus 9? 6. Divide by 3 and y equals 2. Good. Go ahead and put that away. Your homework tonight or your test review, or is your test review, the odds, it's written up there. You do have a quiz, well, you have a test, obviously, over the same two sections that we quiz over today.